Welcome to Parents Who Think. I'm Danusia. My guest today is the brilliant Hollie McNish, Ted Hughes Award-winning poet, author and performer. Hollie's work often explores themes of feminism, sexuality and motherhood, and she's known for her refreshingly honest and often hilarious take on life. Her Sunday Times bestseller Slug and Other Things I've Been Told to Hate tackles some of the big questions around female sexuality, including masturbation, body image and shame. Her companion book to Slug came out last year called Lobster and Other Things I'm Learning to Love. In our conversation, Hollie and I are talking about all things sex and pleasure, and especially about Slug. We discuss why female masturbation is still so taboo, despite being a completely natural and healthy act. Hollie shares her own journey of discovery and talks about the impact that societal shame and stigma can have on women's sexuality. Let's get going on my frank conversation with the one and only Hollie McNish. Welcome to the podcast, Hollie.
Thanks so much. It's lovely to be here.
So let's get to your masturbation. Can we talk wanking, please?
Yeah.
What's the book about?
So the book's not just about that, but there is a lot about it. So yeah, it's called Slug and Other Things I've Been Told to Hate. So I've written a book and it's got the section on masturbation because I feel like it's a big part of my life, really. I live at home just with me and my daughter, and she's at her dad's 2 days a week, and I've sort of never had so much time to explore my own body in my life. And I think it's really important. And I think female masturbation is slowly being talked about and deemed less sinful than it has been deemed for the last 1,000 years. And we're slowly getting there, but I think there's a long way to go.
Have you got any that you could share on that subject?
Oh, yeah, probably. The section's called Ringing the Devil's Doorbell.
Oh, nice.
And which, my friend told me was what they used to call female masturbation. And I thought it was really sexist, but then actually I heard a podcast that said a devil's handshake was the penis version of that. So actually it was just every form of masturbation. But I've been researching it loads. It's been fascinating. Like one book talking about all the different ways that people with a vulva masturbate, and just how some people just can't do it unless they're lying on their front. Some people can't do it unless they're rubbing against something. Some people it's just amazing. But there was a very low percentage of people that did it just with the, in-out motion that we're taught sex is in most. So I think loads of women think that they're like abnormal in some way just because they haven't seen what they do anywhere on screen, really. And I think it's getting better. There's a few programs that have started finally, thank God, talking about it. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, what's seen in any drama or anything involves a shower head that doesn't involve a man and a woman or isn't a porn film.
Yeah, shower head. That's I've written about that a lot in this book because my grandma never had an orgasm in her life. And we talked about that a lot together. We talked about sex a lot. And she thought the female orgasm was a myth, and she had like the best power shower in her house. And I remember telling her, oh God, it's so annoying because that is like one of the easiest ways for me. She was like, oh, Hollie, stop. Will you just stop?
This is a great moment to interrupt Hollie. She's in full flow and about to dish a secret or two. It would be rude for me not to join in. Buckle up.
Do you know what my weirdest thing is that I've never shared before? And I will now, just in case there's anyone. So one of the things that I get this really weird feeling inside, and it's sort of like, it's not like orgasmic, but it's so sort of intense, is when I with my duvet in the morning, I hold it and I sort of lift it up to kind of like air it out. And just that action of like lifting something heavy up with my arms makes me feel like I'm going to come.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
And I know people get it from the gym, like some people get it from certain things.
In the spirit of full transparency, since, it's a female thing, you tell me one thing, I'll tell you. I went through a stage in my life, not that long ago, where if I went to the hairdressers and I had that, in fact, there's two, I don't even mind putting two in here, that massage on the scalp, I was like, oh dear, my young male washer whatever his name was, the trainee knew. And I think he took great delight, actually. I think he was a little tinker. And I was like, yeah, okay. I think you just need to stop there. That's okay. And then it started in the dentist. Now, I think the rhythm of having my teeth polished is nothing to do with the dentist. But for a short period, if I had my teeth rhythmically, like, zzz, it was like, oh, please, be careful. Can't go to the dentist.
That's so funny. Mine's the optician. Honestly, I've never said this to anyone either, but whenever I got checked, when I was little as well, I remember this, like, not being able to sit on the seat properly, because when he, like, leant over, like, really close to your face and whispered, like, now look over my left shoulder, with, like, holding the thing in front of my eye, I used to get, like, this really funny feeling in my pants. Not really know. Then as I got older, I was like, I think I'm really turned on by going to the optician. I think it's fascinating that I've been told all my life, and I think about this more because I've got a daughter, and I'm also surrounded by people, some of them in, like, unhappy marriages, or sort of the sex isn't really that pleasurable for a lot of the women, or all friends that hadn't had an orgasm until they're, like, 40s. And the sex education's coming in now with my daughter at school. And I'm like, oh, you're sort of just teaching them the same stuff. Like, sex is just this, like, way to make a baby, or it's just reproductive sex. And that style of sex, I like it, but it's not, didn't do me wonders for years before I, like, learned what I actually liked myself.
Yeah.
And I've always been told, like, yeah, the way that sort of I masturbate, or female masturbation is like lesser than males, because it's sometimes can take longer, or it's different, or you can't measure it so easily. But I think it's amazing now. I never did in my sort of younger years before, but I think it's amazing that I can be, like, as horny as I like and nobody can tell. I think it's so cool. And I like, quite often when I am, I think if I was a guy right now, I'd have, like, a massive erection and it'd be really awkward.
That's testament to the extraordinary power of women's sexuality, that it doesn't need to be all gushing and ejaculating, although it can be also for, many women. But actually we can be in touch with those really strong, intense, or even kind of sacred, undulating parts of ourselves, and no one need know. It's all happening.
It amazes me. Well, it doesn't amaze me, but also just at the same time that they have been it's been like one of the most shamed things for everybody throughout history, and often linked to religion, but not always. And I just find it fascinating. It's like, it's literally, like, doing no harm to anyone, and all the theories about it blinding you, possibly, all the stuff that people have been told about it. I said to my daughter about masturbating, and she said, oh, when does that thing work that you do that you say is amazing? And I was like, different ages for different people, so I don't really know, but it's really good when it does. And we were talking about it, and one of my friends sort of gawped at me for telling, as obviously a lot of people do, the idea of talking to your 8-year-old kid at that time about masturbating. And I was like, well, you've told your daughter that you and your husband have sex because, you love each other. Well, I love myself as well. Like, I think it's funny that we're allowed to tell children that mummy and daddy have sex for this reason. But the idea of just saying that mum, when she's on her own, also just has sex by herself, it's a big no-go. I find it, it's all very confused, I think, in our society. I had a lot of friends that did that for studying, myself included, when you've got, like, an essay or anything, just to have an orgasm to sort of pep you up. Yeah, it's better than a cup of coffee. I'm not saying don't have the coffee, but it's there's just nothing that is wrong with it.
Tell me, why is your book called Slug?
Because it's about things that I was told to hate. So that's, like, the subtitle of it. And slug, for me, like, encapsulates that in terms of, like, the actual animal, and in terms of just the sound of the word. And I think people are really disgusted by slugs, basically. And I kind of am too. But I looked up how slugs have sex. And one of the types of slugs, the way they have sex, I don't know if it's all of them, but one of them is so beautiful. That's basically why. That's the main reason. And that it's just something that we're automatically like, oh, that's disgusting. but it also sounds like the word snog. And it's also sort of like wet and slippy, a bit like our tongues. And I think a lot of things that we sort of flinch at, a lot of them are like wound up in like female sexuality. Not saying slug's one of those, but just the sort of the wetness and all, you know, when people talk about things like that, a lot of women I know kind of flinch. Like the word moist. I read a study that moist is the most hated word in the English dictionary in all English speaking countries.
I was about to say that. It's really funny you mention it. I'm so surprised that so many women despise the word moist. It is like a self-hatred, a hatred towards our own wet selves, our own moisture, our own juiciness, our own vaginas, basically.
All of that. All of it. And the word vulva that we won't say and won't teach our little girls that is not different. All of that is, I just find it fascinating. And I was talking about the word moist actually, and one of my friends, she was saying that she hates the word because one of the old men basically in her office who was trying to feel her up all the time kept using it. That was her reasoning. And the word that I've got quite a lot in the book about like us being really embarrassed to use the word vulva, me included, for years. Like I never knew what it was until I was in my 20s. And whenever I put something about it online, or if I put a poem up about me, like trying to make myself say it for my daughter's sake, or I was thinking, you know, if a little boy pointed to his penis and said it was his testicles, you'd correct him. But if a little girl points to her vulva, like we just don't seem to think it's important. But there's always excuses that people. Always, I get loads of people like, I've got nothing against the word vulva. I don't find it hard to say or talk about. I just don't like words beginning with V. Like literally, and things like that. And it's like, that's not the reason though, is it? Like the reason is because we've been taught to fucking hate this part of our body, or at least find it disgusting or shameful for a long time.
You know, a pleasured woman is a dangerous woman, isn't she, really? She might be out of control. She might be wild. And we need to look after people, and we need to, you know, I imagine the thought process is that we need to be steady thinking about cooking baked beans on toast for our delightful children.
But then we need to be cured of hysteria as well. I read like this ancient Hindu, it was like a schooling for boys to teach them before we knew that a female orgasm wasn't needed in reproduction. It used to be very important in teaching. Which is annoying. So they thought at one point in one part of the world that the sort of wetter the woman got and the more orgasms she had, the quicker the sperm, not the quicker the sperm would travel, they didn't know about that. Like the more likely she was to get pregnant, basically. So therefore the teaching was all about how to make a woman orgasm as many times, and then only then, if you then had sex, then she's more likely to get pregnant. So it obviously isn't true. I'm pretty sure it's not true. But when they believe that in certain places, the texts that they gave men and boys are amazing. It's all about like massage, like comfort, singing, tickling, loads of shit. It's really good.
Oh, isn't that great? Hollie, this has been most unexpected. I've loved this. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And that's it for today's app. I absolutely loved our conversation. I hope there was something for you to think on too. It's been a real pleasure exploring these important topics with you today. And let's continue to challenge the shame and stigma surrounding female sexuality and keep these conversations going, eh? Now, thanks for listening. Till next time, keep loving and thinking. Take care, everyone.